All right, so we're recording now. Cool. So, hey guys, so it's Noah again. I'm here today with Ryan. He's in solar. So, Ryan, for the first thing, like, how'd you get started off into solar?
Yeah, first of all, nice to meet everybody online that are watching this. Really pleasure to be here. Thanks so much, Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my journey has been, through the ringer, through the solar coaster, as you say it. I started in Vegas, and I did door knocking. Actually, I'll backtrack it a little bit on how I actually started that. So, if you guys familiar with those really annoying guys at the mall that are coming and
No.
you, lotions and are like pestering you to put a lotion on your face and then try to sell you some cream in the mall. I was one of those guys. Okay. So that's the beginning of my sales journey. And obviously, this job is very depleting. It's pure hell. Do not ever do this job. I think only Israelis do this job anyway, coming from Israel. But yeah, so I was looking for a way out. Moved to Vegas at a whim, like literally just bam, don't want to be here. Got an opportunity to sell hypnosis courses for a company after I was doing a lot of hypnosis and doing a hypnosis course with the company. So it was really great. Jump on a plane. And obviously this 9 to 5 wasn't for me. So after a short while of doing that, sitting in an office and just calling, realized really quickly it's not my thing. And one of those days, by the way, because I was moving there by myself, I was super, super lonely. Went on Facebook and I was just like, who's the cool guy and just want to go out tonight? Just like put a post out there. And this guy who's we're still in contact, great guy. He has a solar company. He reached out to me, and while we're hanging out, I'm seeing him getting like a bunch of emails while we're sitting down from loan docs being completed and like sales coming in. And I'm like asking it almost like an ATM, like ding, 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 ding. And I'm asking him like, what is all that? Like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm doing solar. And I was like, solar, what is that? And he's like, yeah, you should join. I'm doing this and that, and we're door knocking, and we, eliminating people's bills. And then he was showing me his statements, like his actual commission checks. And then I was like, yo, when do we start? How can I start? Right? So it was always like the scene in the Jordan Belfort movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, if you show it to me right now, if you can prove it to me, that's it. I'm quitting.
Yeah.
And then he went to me, started door knocking with him. And it was fucking wild, in Vegas, heat of the summer, just banging those doors. And then that COVID kicked in. And Vegas pretty much shut down. So anybody that knows or been to Vegas during COVID, like the middle of the COVID, it was like a ghost town. Like, imagine if anybody went to Vegas, the strip, just like empty, like the movies where this shit is like rolling around on the sand. Like that's how it was. And it was very hard to get appointments, this and that. And so I moved to Los Angeles, where a good friend of mine was doing roofing, and he had a bunch of buddies doing solar. And so from there, I progressed to actually started selling solar in people's houses, face to face, and now running a team of sellers and doing a bunch of collabs with roofing companies, alarms, and things like this. So yeah, it has been good. Definitely been a journey, and happy for every step of the way.
Okay, so you took that jump and then you started doing collaborations with roofers. Do you think that's is that a really important thing for a rep to do, is to make connections with other business owners?
Yeah, definitely. So this has been one of the biggest accelerator for my profit. Right? And when I'm saying profit, by the way, yes, I am you can call it independent contractor or a salesperson working with a company, but I do treat myself as a business. Okay, so Ryan Miller, it's the business of Ryan Miller, and I recommend everybody to treat it like that. So when I say profit, increasing your profit. So what are the revenue streams to Ryan Miller, to that business? How is it coming? So big one is just starting thinking about collabs, because anybody selling solar here can attest to the fact that, a lot of times you just have referrals coming in from people's neighbors or just friends. And those are like the easiest sales in the world. They're already trusting you. They're already there. And so what you want to do is you want to think about solar as a whole industry. And then what are the industries that are complementing that industry or parallel to that industry that you can connect together? Right? A big example of that is how do you say, real estate agents, right? Real estate agents, mortgage brokers. So those people, by the way, most of real estate agents are broke, okay, or struggling, okay, and they do that because some of them, they're just lazy. There's a lot of legwork. There's a lot of people skills involved in that, but that's the reality. So those people really, really want your help, okay. And the way that you will help them is by basically saying, hey, whenever you sell the house, give this person like my magazine, my card, my business information, however you present it, and yeah, and if they're interested, go from there and give them like a 30 seconds pitch, elevator pitch of how it works, and just see it flowing in. And when that person gets $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 from that referral, and he sees it coming, believe me, he's gonna work his ass off to give you those referrals. So roofing also major thing. It's so, roofing and solar should just go together. It's just I do not understand roofing companies that are just doing roofing and they're not offering solar or not partnering with solar companies. It is beyond my understanding how it happens. But again, same thing with roofers. A lot of them, by the way, a lot of roofers. One of my best friends here in LA is a roofer. Now he's going to open his own roofing companies. The number of sales that he let go of because he couldn't give the homeowner the right solution is dumbfounding, right? Like, it's insane, okay? And the reason is most people, especially in LA, they don't have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 out of the pocket to do a roof right now, even though the roof is leaking. A lot of people are struggling. It's just what it is. So just giving them the ability to do this, which is eliminating their bill, getting them to pay a significantly lower amount, which is fixed on their monthly, and putting their entire roof or the majority of their roof cost inside of that finance at the same lower rate is pretty much a God-sent gift that you can give them. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a huge win-win-win all the way around. And so, yeah, highly recommend. Look at the industries that are parallel to solar, housing, roofing, even insulation and home improvement, and just start reaching out to those people, build relationships, because that's going to take you a long way, much more than just pounding the doors.
So my next question was, with building those connections, like, how do you suggest to like reps that are just getting started to start building those connections with the roofers and then like the real estate agents?
Yeah, so you gotta know your field, right? So you're going, especially if you're thinking big and you're thinking about big partnership and this and that, and also just clients in general, they want to get a sense that you know what you're talking about. So before you do all of that, like, do the legwork. There's no running away from it. Go on the doors. And by the way, right now there's so many avenues to go into solar that are not doors. Like, you can go and do virtual. You can go and just do face-to-face, and companies offer that.
Have you done virtual before?
I have done virtual, and we have a facet of the company that is going to be increasing that significantly with alarms. But I will say to everybody starting out, yeah, go on the doors first. Go on the door first, even though it's harder, even though it sucks, because when you're at the door, you literally have 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds to make that impression. You got to be focused. You got to get to the point, and you got to read the client very, very fast. So in my opinion, it's actually harder than actually closing them face to face, because the offer of solar is basically, hey, your rates are super high. I'm going to take it away from you, and you're going to pay less with nothing out of pocket, right? I mean, solar pretty much sells itself. You just have to sparkle in your personality and your rapport. But I think most people, what they should focus on is like how to read people. That's the real skill. Not the sales technique, not how to overcome an objection. Like ultimately, you should have no objections.
Yeah.
At the close, you should have no objections if you did it right. And by the way, a lot of people ask me when I train him, "What, do you have no objections?" That doesn't make sense. But if you really think about it, the objection comes from a lack of clarity. Now, I'm not saying everybody's gonna buy, but if it's the right homeowner and he's already considering solar, and you made it super clear how it works, and you have the backing and you have the certainty to know what you're talking about, there shouldn't be any objections. Okay, if your intention is clear and you know it is a win for the homeowner, like you really believe that, right? By the way, guys, it's a huge win for the homeowner. He's literally going to save tens of thousands of dollars. So if you know that and you can communicate that, there should be no objections. It should be clear to the homeowner. Okay. But yeah, definitely focus on reading people much more than trying to sell, or how to make the most commission, or how to have the best red line, or how to have, just that in the beginning. And that's going to make all of the difference. After you do that for a while and you gain confidence, then go into face-to-face, and then start networking, reaching out, LinkedIn, roofing companies around you. Just talk to people. That's all it is.
So like basically once you get your footing, then you can start, like when you've solidified yourself as an expert, then you can start reaching out to other business owners, right?
Yeah. Got to build a strong foundation. Like for me, I'm in America for 7 years now. Only a year and a half ago, I actually started making money, like for real, for real. Okay. And there was nothing glamorous about it. It was just like understanding, how to read people, just doing the work, That's it.
Yeah. What brought you to America?
Yeah, so actually, I was born in Pembroke Pines in Florida, and lived there until I was 5-6 years old. Yeah, so I was in the Israeli army, in the IDF, and was really, looking back, it was a great experience. Obviously, pure hell when you're doing it. And I did. So normally, you do like this long trip after the army to kind of like clear your mind and this and that. So I went to Australia, lived there for a year. It was amazing. And my visa ended, and I just didn't want to finish my trip, right? So I took the first flight, by myself, went to Ohio for God knows why. Just moved around and try to make it. I love the American culture. I love the manners. I don't know if it sounds weird, but people that are American, but there's it's just much more mannered.
Really?
Yeah, much more mannered than
than Australia and Israel, or
no, than Israel.
Israel. Okay.
Yeah, and overall, I think the major reason everybody's coming here just to have a better quality of life, and try to make it the American dream type of thing, build more freedom. Yeah.
Okay. So when we were talking kind of about like virtual and door to door, like I've never done like virtual sales when I had my solar experience. What was like how did you like thrive in that sort of like virtual spot? And how would you like kind of because I know a lot of reps have trouble. Like it's different. Like a lot of them start out in door to door, so they're like, what the heck do I do on this virtual call? Like I don't know how to like connect with this person.
Yeah, so here's a great thing that I picked up doing virtual is look at the people's emails, right,
Okay.
on the form, right? And I'll give you an example. I had this homeowner on a virtual. She lived in Vegas, and I'm right here in LA, so we did a virtual. Her email was cookingwithbernadette@gmail.com, something like that. So cooking with Bernadette. The first thing comes to my mind is okay, cooking. She does cooking. Maybe she has a cooking show. Maybe she like that's her passion, right? If she puts that on the email, she loves cooking. So the
Yeah.
first thing I'm gonna be talking to her about is cooking, right? Is
Mhm.
cooking. Hey, are you a cook? We have all these dishes from Israel. Do you know this one? Like, why do you normally cook? Do you have your own show? Wow, that's amazing. So I'll just take the first 2 to 3 minutes to kind of like feel her out and connect to what she's passionate about. No, it doesn't have to be fake. By the way, I see a lot of people, they just, oh, you love this? I also love that. Because
Sounds like a robot.
also. So guys, if you love cooking, connect with her on cooking. If
Yeah.
you don't love cooking, just you can just be interested without actually loving that. But just make sure it's not fake because people feel that.
Yeah. You get into the home and then you're like, okay, well, I need to build rapport. And then it's like, okay, I built rapport. Now what do I do? Like, like kind of like a stair step process. And you were saying just from the very beginning of this interview, you were just like, read the customer. And if you connect with them on this, then you read them on where they're at on a scale of 1 to 10 if they're ready to buy. Um,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm hearing from you. Another thing is like, how, uh, how do you, so roofing and solar, um, in California, do they have like the tax credit where you can like get part of the roof with solar, or how does that still work? Is that why it's really good to save a lot of money when you get solar and a roof?
So California is probably one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive in terms of electricity rate in the nation. So to create savings is super easy. Okay, they're gonna create savings from day one.
Mhm.
Now, because the savings are so great with the solar compared um, to the electricity company, you can put the cost of the roof inside of it
Mhm.
and then either equal or still pay less depending on the financing that you use from day one, which
Mm.
is crazy. Like think about me saying, hey, you're paying $300 a month. Now you're going to be paying 280, so you're even saving a little bit. That 280 is going to be fixed. It will never ever increase, unlike your power company. And guess
Yeah.
what? Your roof is going to be done. Don't even worry about that.
Hmm. So with the California market, like I've been in the South Carolina market and the Texas market, and I've always been scared to even like look at the California market because I see it all over the place. Like, hey, California, like it seems like California's been hit by solar people for 6 or 10 years now. Like, how do you stand out from all these solar companies and solar people?
Don't be a boring, pushy salesperson.
Yeah.
Just be like you got to develop a little bit your identity, like your charisma. So, for example, anybody's watching it, what makes you unique? Okay, just write down a list. Like, what makes me unique? What is my close friends, family? What are some positive things they say about me? Am I funny? Am I smart? Like, do I have cool stories? And just try to bring that out there when you're talking to the homeowner. Like, really be interested in him and his life, and just realize it's a conversation. I don't believe in the whole first step. I will build rapport and ask those questions, and then I will share this story, and then I will do this joke, and then I will talk about the technicality of the panels, and then I will close and I will handle the objection. Like, just, treat it as a conversation. It's a conversation about the electricity. It already makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing I would say is the beginning stage where you're fishing for the real intention to do solar. This is critical. The first
Okay.
5 minutes, maybe after you do a little bit rapport, you got to understand what is the real reason he wants to do solar, even above solar. Because the 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 a month you're going to save them is not going to change your life. And I tell them that. It's like, hey, this, even if I save you $100 right now, it's not going to change your life. So what are you hoping to get with solar? What is the end goal for you, the ideal situation that you want to create? When he's telling you the ideal situation you want to create after having solar, he's basically telling you how to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Just focus on that throughout the whole conversation.
Running through those frameworks instead of step by step and question based frameworks. I love that. Like, that's for any sales. Like, you should definitely run through that. So that kind of brings me to a question. Like, what's the biggest lie salespeople were told about increasing their like sales or increasing themselves as salespeople?
Oh wow, yeah, beautiful question. I would say the biggest thing is just, and that's a little bit, let's say, more spiritual, but just
Mhm.
wrapping your identity in your actions. Okay, so if you're on the doors or you're just a beginning salesperson, you're gonna get a lot of no's, you're gonna get a lot of rejections, and if you take it personally, you're screwed. Okay, you're just screwed. If that affects your mood, like if you find yourself not selling for a while and it affects your mood, you got to work on the mindset, right? It's really, really important. You got to understand that you failing in anything in life, not only sales or whatever, is just a part of your character playing the game. It's part of the character playing the game. Treat it as such, and you're not gonna get attached. And when you're not attached, and you're not attached to people's approval of you, judgment of you, where you really at a core don't need anything from anybody, and you exude that in your energy, everything in your life gonna skyrocket, especially sales. This is the reason why hungry salespeople, when they have their commission breath, are not selling, because it's showing. The scarcity in your face is showing. Okay, work on that shit. Be in a place where you don't need anything. See what needs to change in your life for you to increase your abundance mindset. Abundance doesn't need to reflect in your bank account. It can start here and then trickle down to everything else.
I love that. I love that. You said commission breath. That was Alex. Do you watch Alex Hormozy?
No, I know of him, so I will.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to check him out in these videos because a lot of people have been talking to me about him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He says that about the commission breath. I love that. The other thing is, what's the most like interesting customer interaction that you've had, like a most memorable one?
Yeah, so I would say the most funny, crazy interactions were definitely on the doors, right? Like, you meet all sorts of people in the doors. I remember one time I was knocking on a door in Vegas, and I'm knocking, and by the way, she had this like don't knock sign or whatever it's called. Don't. By the way, if somebody has this sign, knock on his door, because he's basically telling you, I'm buying everything, so please don't help me to buy something. But basically, knocking on the door, I hear nothing, but eventually I'm hearing footsteps coming, and it's coming towards the door, so I'm waiting. Nothing happens. Dead quiet. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking to my left. I'm seeing her pulling the curtain right next to the door, and there's a huge shotgun standing there at the window, pointing at me, and just like she knocked with the front of the shotgun on the window, kind of like saying, "What you gonna do now?" And I just bolted out of there. So guys, if you see a shotgun, get out of there. Okay, don't keep knocking. Okay? There's a limit to how much you want to push.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've had multiple experiences similar to that one. I know a lot of door-to-door people definitely have to deal with that just because people get annoyed, but it's like you're that person who's going to keep going through there. And then you're going to have these stories to tell, right?
Yeah.
You have all these stories to tell. You have all this coloration. I mean, you've been to Australia, you've been from Israel,
Yeah.
all these things that have made you stronger. And it's awesome to see even come through solar. I mean, you wouldn't be the same person if you weren't scared the shit out of by a freaking shotgun, right?
Yeah, I mean, the doors definitely build your character. And by the way, I had the opportunity to also build my character in the mall where you're just offering things to people and they're like, screw you, curse the hell out of you. But when you can withstand, walking in the heat and door by door, they're like, no, F you, like, get the hell out of here. What are you doing? Da, 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 da. And you can just, man, whatever. It's going to help you in like so much other things that you're doing in life. Even like, as far as dating, as funny as it sounds, just like dealing with rejection and not giving a shit. So yeah, start with the doors and advance from there.
I feel like that also trains your mind in that abundance mindset, because it's like, sure, I don't care that you're gonna say no, but I know, like, in 50 doors I'm gonna get one anyway, so it doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah. It's like changing your focus. What are you focusing on? Are you focus on the no's, or are you trying to find that yes? Or how many yeses you got today? Okay, like I will go out, 4 hours knocking door and door and door and door and door. So maybe, I don't know, I knocked whatever, 100, 200 doors. And I had 2 appointments coming out of that, right? Which is not a lot, let's say, on this day. But am I fired up? Hell yeah. I got 2 appointments. Hell, one of them can close. It's that belief. It's that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, my life is going to go this direction, but how many no's I'm getting? You have to have this certainty, right? When you're in front of a homeowner, by the way, the most important thing is certainty. Like, let's say you're studying the solar and like how it works, the technology, the rebates, the tax credits, whatever, and you're not sure of that. Still be certain in what you're saying. You can still be certain and not entirely know what it is about. Just, have the belief that it's good for them. And if you have that, that's what people call beginner's luck. It's just your vibe, just your excitement, gets them to move forward with it.
So you were saying door no, door no, door no, and then get those 2 yeses. Did you ever? This is a lot of door knockers do this. Do you ever cherry pick when you're out and you go knocking?
Yes, I would definitely want to go to neighborhoods that already have a few solar system, but not too much, because then I know it's going to be saturated. And trying to focus on neighborhoods with lower socioeconomic, let's say, environment. And the reason is, most of those people they're looking to save money on their bills, and that $20, $30, $40 a month is actually a huge thing for them. It's actually a really big thing for them. I had a homeowner, I was sitting with her, that's another thing that happened. That was a face-to-face. And she was on the oxygen machine, right? And connecting the oxygen machine to her house or to her device in her house, it was eating a lot of electricity, but she needs that, like, to live, basically. And she was telling me, like, I'm looking at the solar because I'm at the point where I basically have to choose, am I paying for food, am I paying for my electricity bill? And sometimes, guys, it goes way more than saving people like 20, 30, $40. And you're going to go through that experiences if you going through the solar coaster a lot. And those are the things that are going to propel you, that when you're talking to homeowners, they can feel that you believe in that. When you see a homeowner such a thing, you start saying, wow, like I really impact people's lives. And for me, it gave me great motivation.
So you keep saying solar coaster. When I hear that, I think about the like salesman's roller coaster of an up and down. Is that what you mean by kind of like the solar coaster? Is like some days you're
Yeah.
really up and then some are down?
Yeah. It's like, anybody that beats to a solar, I think for 3, 4, 5 months, they know where you have months, weeks, days that you're like on top of the world. Like, this is insane. This is so easy. Like, this is amazing. This is like the best thing since sliced bread. And then you have weeks where you're like nothing, and you get cancellations the middle of the project because the permit takes too long, and you get all sorts of headache, or a homeowner sends you a picture of the roof being completely torn up, or some guy just the roofer fell through her roof, which actually happened to me 2 days ago. The one of the roofing team fell through the roof. I'm waking up and she's sending me a picture of her roof completely, like her house, her whole ceiling is open. And she's like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh man. So yeah, those things gonna happen. So you just gotta go through that. I recommend everybody you gotta keep track. That's why I said in the beginning, look at it like you're the business. Don't look at it all like I'm just a rep, want to make some money, so I can go out. Really take it seriously. Make an Excel spreadsheet or keep a record of the homeowners you had, how much you sold them for, and maybe 1, 2 quick sentences of why do you think that succeeded? Like, why do you think he actually wanted to buy from you? Or if you have memorable interaction of why it didn't happen and the homeowner lets you know, also write that down.
Mm-hmm.
And when you keep track of that, you can see your progress, and it's going to be much easier than just winging it and being a leaf at the wind and just like hoping tomorrow is going to be better.
Yeah. With that, I have a question for you. Do you ever record your sales? Because going over sales film, anything like that, do you ever record?
I don't. I don't record, but I do have the salespeople that I train. They would go up with me for a couple of times, and they will see how I do it.
Yeah.
And now, I do believe in those. They call it ride-alongs or whatever when they come with you to do the training. But at the same time, I want everybody to know, like when you're studying from somebody who's a little bit more successful than you in a certain field or has gotten some results that you wanted, do not try to do what he's doing. Just don't try to replicate exactly what he's doing, because it's not going to work. Okay? If I try to imitate Tony Robbins right now, it's going to look like a weird front Chinese fake, version. Yeah. It's going to look fake. It's going to look weird. So that's why I said, build the charisma, understand who you are, what makes you unique, and then take the big things from what you learn, either through a virtual or face-to-face, and then how does it apply to me? So if I was telling a certain joke about my life, okay, how is Jason, how is Brandon can apply that into their life and tell the joke in a way that's funny to them? Okay, when you're actually laughing and it's legit and the homeowner, sees that, like they're just gonna connect with you. It's easy once you understand those principles.
Yeah.
Sales is not about like convincing somebody or overcoming objection. In fact, if you have a lot of objections in the sale, you gotta even if you sold it and you overcome all the objections, you gotta look back and see how are you presenting it, and maybe it's not clear to the homeowner. Also, don't waste time trying to sell everybody. Don't waste time going to a homeowner's house and just saying he's gonna buy. Figure out if he's the right person to buy this product, because if you don't, and he's not a qualified homeowner to actually buy solar or whatever product you're selling, you're gonna punish yourself or guilt yourself or feel bad about yourself because you didn't close, where in fact that homeowner just wasn't qualified, and you spent 1, 2, 3, 4 hours with them and waste a bunch of time and energy. And then you're going into the next meeting with all this negative charge, and you're going to screw that one up as well. Okay, so know how to manage your time and know who's right for it. And that goes back to just reading the person. The faster you can read the person, the faster you're going to, succeed and make the sale and make the connection and just achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, like, knowing, even with that abundance mindset that you're talking about, literally just sitting back and being like, well, if you say no, it's not a problem for me. It doesn't hurt me. I just want to be on the same side of the table as you and see if this does work out. If it doesn't work out, okay, cool, fine. It just doesn't make sense for you. But my job is to get you to make a decision. My job isn't to get you to go with me. It's to make a decision. If you really think this is the worst thing for you, stay on that side. It's totally fine. But if this is something you've been looking at and you just need help making that decision, let's go ahead and move forward.
Exactly.
But I really like that. I really do. Because even when you talked before where you're like, because I know I had a lot of issues when I started in sales where I basically would bring up things that brought objections. So like when you were saying, if you have a bunch of objections, look at the ways you're presenting. I definitely can relate to that because you said that I used to always be like, oh, what about in this time period? And I would bring objections into their mind and it'd be like, now I got to fight something that I already brought into the equation. So definitely.
You gotta, that's a really good point you mentioned. So I'll go on it for one quick second. Sure. Think about the product. So let's talk about solar. How clear is that for you? Okay, so if right now you had to explain solar to somebody in 20 seconds, can you do that? Crystal clear, out of your mouth, now, full confidence. If you can't, and it's not that clear for you, you're gonna, during the conversation, instead of being present and reading the body language and hearing what he's saying and listening to the homeowner, you're gonna be focusing on, how do I explain it? Wait, but there's this thing, and I want to talk about this thing. Knowing too much also about the product can also hinder you. Okay, so you gotta, like, what's really helped me is just simplifying the whole process as much as possible. And I was sitting in a sales meeting with a couple of new reps, and they were like, what do you say to a homeowner when he's asking you how does solar work? And I literally told them, sun hits the panels, goes into the house, you get power. And they looked at me like, no, but aren't you telling them about like the inverters and the DC to AC and like this and that and the output? I'm like, no, the homeowner does not care about that. Okay, they want to have it simplified in their mind, and they want to know exactly how they're saving money. So, by the way, as a rule of thumb, obviously there's homeowners that really like the environment and things like this, or they have different reasons to go solar, but focus on the money always. It's not about the technology or what's the best panels. And we have our ECs and they're like 20.1% efficiency. So get rid of all the nerdy stuff, simplify it, and just, get to the point. I would use words that are taking away worry from the homeowner, because at the end of the day, the homeowner just wanted to be a smooth process and just get rid of the bill easiest that they can. So I would use words like streamlined process, automated, hassle-free. We take all we lift all the heavy, we do all the heavy lifting for you. Quick and easy, things of this nature that just makes it easier in your mind. We take care, I always say, we take care of all the process from A to the Z. So, the more you can use those words, the more he's going to be in a good place, and he's knowing that he's being taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing was I wanted to ask, like, did you have any mentors when you first started? Like, and how did they help you out?
Yeah, so I had mentors for sales, two huge mentors, which were in my field that I worked on before solar.
Okay.
but I applied it into the solar. So as I said, doors is one of the hardest things you can do. But the job that I had before that was selling the hypnosis and NLP courses over the phone. So you had to cold call somebody, and in about 30, 40 minutes, get him from his lowest point of his life to believing in himself full on, paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 that he doesn't have, book flights, book hotels, go from the shithole that he's living in Dakota or whatever, Idaho, to Vegas, and participate in the course that will help him start transforming his life. So this one is where you basically selling the person on an intangible and on his potential. And the mentor I had there, she was crushing it. I haven't asked her, so I don't know if I should say her name, give her the credit, but she's unbelievable. I would say anybody that's trying to learn from her, DM me or message Noah after that. Maybe we can
I'll have to have her on the show.
Yeah, she's incredible. She'll probably want to go on the show. She's made millions and millions of dollars, probably tens of millions at this point. And she was just a beast. The organization in the beginning, that's a very important point. There's a lot of limiting belief that might be instilled in you in sales from your trainers or the companies you're working in. So you really got to be careful at what you're putting into your mind and what's the limitation they have versus what you want to believe in. So for example, when we entered the organization, before she came in and started mentoring us, the organization believed in a 2 or 3 touches, which means you call the person, you talk to him, and then on the second call, the third call, the fourth call, you go in the close. And that was just a limiting belief they had. They didn't believe that the person can be closed in one swift go, one phone call. Okay, they didn't have it in their mind, and so we lost a lot of sales. And I started believing in that too, until she came in, and in 20 minutes, people were buying packages, $10, $20, $30,000 they didn't even have. So just beware what you're putting in your mind. I would say just having a mentor overall for your personal development, self-worth, self-love, all those things is just huge. Like if you just focus on one thing, that will be that because that's gonna apply for everything in your life. It's gonna apply for everything in your life. You can say the exact right things to the homeowner that will, with another person, will make the sale, but you won't make the sale because maybe inside you don't believe you deserve it. That's a huge thing, by the way. With just
how do you get over
your goals and increasing your revenue and increasing your sales is you got to dive deep into what is your ceiling of success. What is your ceiling of success? And that ceiling is going to keep being broken. So if right now you're making a 9-to-5 minimum wage, maybe your ceiling of success is $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. And you think like, oh, wow, if I could just get that, that'd be amazing. Once you get there, you got to break that. You got to believe that you deserve more, and you got to do that self-work. Otherwise, you always gonna self-sabotage, and you might make more, but you're just gonna spend it, or it's gonna be emptied out of your account for some reason.
How do you break that ceiling? Like, what is the best way that you figured out how to break that ceilings? I feel like it can't be put as much into words, but if you can, like, how can you put it into words?
Yeah, so the way that you break the ceiling is just surrounding yourself with a bunch of people that is more successful than you. And again, you hear that all the time, the average of 5 people. Like, it's so cliche, but it's just the truth of the universe. Like, and here's another thing. If you don't have those 5 people, it's almost better that you be by yourself for a short while and kind of be okay with that until you find those people than to be with people that suck down your energy and just make excuses and blame everybody, because it's not going to get you anywhere. So you got to be with people. If you right now, think about from a logical place. If you right now, let's say you're making 10,000 a month, and maybe you're in a little comfort zone where you're like, oh yeah, I'm making my 10,000, and then I'll go back to my house, I eat a bunch of Pringles and smoke weed. Okay, cool. But if you start hanging around with people that are making 50, 100, 150,000 a month, or even $1 million a month, there's no way for you to really stay in there. So it's almost like you're putting yourself in a situation where success is inevitable. What are situations you can put yourself in where success is inevitable? You can't keep making 10,000 when everybody's around you making 100,000. It's just impossible.
You're either going to weed yourself out or you're going to reach.
Yeah. If you're entering a company, find the best performer in that company, find a way to bring him value, find a way to hang around him. And value is not only money.
Mm-hmm.
Find something that's important to him, that he's lacking in his life, even though he's making money, because money is not, it's one facet of life. And then bring the value to him and start hanging around him, even if it's just once a week, once a month.
What are some creative ways that you've created value for, people that were above where you're trying to reach?
Oh yeah, this is a good question. So I would say, so for example, when you're creating relationships, right? When you're talking to the roofers or you're talking to the real estate agents, they might be really successful in their field, but find a way to bring in other sources of income. Okay. Think about, sales or solar or what you do. It cannot be 100% of your life. I believe you gotta be a whole person with you gotta have a certain lifestyle that you like or you want to have, and then see how it complements the other person. I mean, I would say most successful people that are successful financially, they're, from what I've seen, very lonely. It is a lonely road. They have a lot of trust issues. It's very hard for them to trust people because they've been screwed over, and just overall a feeling that they have people after their money and this and that. So give him that safety net, even if it's just being that person that he vomits his worries to and just listens to him, from a place of not needing anything in return. Just be the guy that is around him and always in a good vibe and always jokes and always brings positive vibes without asking for anything. If you do that and your strategy is like, I'm going to do a little bit of this and then I'm going to ask for that, it's not going to work. This is when you're trying to get close to those people, it's a long-term strategy. It's a long-term strategy. You got to think about it from longer point of view. And also, ultimately, I would assume you want those people to be your friends. So you don't want just to transact with them. So if ultimately somebody's going to be your friend, you're not going to try to get something from him right away. You just got to try to be his friend.
Yeah. So basically, just figure out where you're at. Like figure out how you can provide that value. If it's just listening to him, because usually they get like screwed over by a lot of people, which I can definitely attest to. When you start trying to change yourself, people try to take advantage of you for sure.
I can give an example. By the way, I had a business owner that he had a lot of self-sabotage pattern in his life. And he would always find a way to spend that money that he was making. So he was making like 70, 80K a month. It was always like down the drain, still in debt, still like crazy. And so what I helped him with was through hypnosis. So I offered him to do a hypnosis session with him. I was telling him a little bit about that. And that completely changed his mindset. Like hypnosis is probably the most powerful tool on the planet right now for deep unconscious change that is immediate. I recommend that for everybody.
How do you do that? Like how do you do it if you don't have as many resources to go after it? Like, how do you start doing that? Because I was thinking about recording myself saying things that I want to be, and then playing that at night to speak to my subconscious.
Yeah.
Is that
So with that, there's infinite amount of free resources online where it comes to audio, like hypnosis audios and things of this nature. A 3-day hypnosis course is about $400-$500. So take that and apply it. It's a simple process. People complicate that. Obviously, it's not the thing you see in the movie with like, look at my watch until you fall asleep. It's
yeah.
just everybody experience hypnosis, by the way. If you ever find yourself driving and you kind of like zone out and then you like pop open, you've been in hypnosis. Or you watch TV and somebody calls you and then all of a sudden you're like, huh, what? You've been in hypnosis. So yeah, you can start with those audios. I would say affirmations, I don't believe in that at all. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. The reason is because, let's say, for example, you're an obese person and you've been obese for the majority of your life, and you probably had some trauma with it, and you had some people pick up on you and bully you, and so that is deep inside of you. But you stand in front of the mirror and you're like, I'm beautiful and skinny, I'm beautiful and skinny, I'm beautiful and skinny. Well, you can say that, and it might make you feel good for 5 minutes. But if your identity is fat, you're always going to go back to your identity. This is why you see shows like The Biggest Loser, where they lose, 100 pounds or whatever. And then 6 months after, they go back to being fat because their identity is fat. So you got to fix it to an identity level first. And a big thing to do that is what I found it to be is hypnosis.
Or even like having the results. Like if you did do push-ups every single day and you say I'm fit, then it's like I have the track record of being fit. And so it's like, hey, I already know this is my identity. This is who I am. I love when, have you read Atomic Habits?
I have not. No.
It talks exactly about it, where it's just like, hey, like you need to change your identity. Like one of the things that they say in the book is there's two guys who are smoking, right? One's like, hey, I'm trying to quit, and the other one's like, I'm not a smoker. And the one that says he's not a smoker is no longer a smoker. But the one that says he's trying to quit, he still identifies as a smoker.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny you mentioned smoking, because I just quit smoking 3 weeks ago. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but the way I did it is basically I created a challenge for myself. And that, by the way, I just did that, and it taught me so much. So I really recommend it to everybody. Take 2 to 3 negative habits that you have in your life and give yourself a timeline. And don't make it too long where it's unrealistic and unattained. I did it for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, I couldn't have sex, couldn't masturbate, don't drink alcohol, don't smoke cigarettes. I do 30 minutes of exercise in the morning and 10 minutes of meditation. Make it simple, right? Like, don't exaggerate, like, and this and this and that, and my 10 minutes of gratitude. Like, no, make like, 2-3 things you try to improve on. And first of all, when you do it, I don't know if it's the universe or whatever it is, for some reason in those 3 weeks, you're going to get so much temptation to do those things. It's almost like God is testing you how strong you are. Okay. And just power through that. And you're going to see, like right now, I finished that challenge maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. I don't want to touch cigarettes. I don't want to, I can drink, but maybe I'll drink 1 drink and that's it. Like, you don't really want it anymore, because what happens is that dopamine spike that you were so addicted to just slowly plummets back to normal levels, and then you don't seek it out like an addict anymore, because those are addictions.
Mhm.
Everything I just said is addictions, and it's depriving you from prime uh, masculine energy and also energy of life that you just wanna have. If you guys have a energy downfall, let's call it, in the middle, or like a crash in the middle of your day, especially in sales, you gotta take a look into that. Take a look into your health. You don't have to be like a health junkie, but just take a vitamins and supplements, get a blood work, see um, what's not right, and just fix it. Because if you can maintain peak energy throughout the day, your performance also going to be very good.
So even speaking of performance, like how have you utilized technology in your sales career? Like how have you utilized technology?
So all the boring sales emails, I let AI do that,
Mhm.
and create the templates and all that. I'm not really like a technology computer guy, so what I can delegate to AI and things of this nature, I do that. Um, but the CRM tools that is probably commonly known, high level, um, and things like that. Anything. So okay, I'll give an example. So
Mhm.
obviously, as the years went on, obviously my output increased, and you're gonna get to a point where you're putting a lot of projects. It's like a good problem to have, I know, but there's so many projects that you're selling, you can't really manage all of them. You
Yeah.
can't. If you do that, you're just gonna stay at home all day and work on your computer and be on calls. You're not gonna see new blood or new customers. So gotta delegate that. If it's through technology, if it's through a project manager, personal assistant, invest that money. Don't think like, oh, I'll do everything for myself. Like, just giving that person $3, $4, $5,000 a month to take care of that for you and train him for 2, 3 months to do that is gonna be so worth it. So worth it. Like the 4 or 5 grand that you give to that person um, is gonna quadruple your output. So just one example, right? Yeah.
So like delegating, how do you I know a lot of people have trouble like delegating. So how do you delegate with the person that you know, even with sales, like they say if you're going out there, the person that you're training is going to do probably as half as much as you. How do you find the right people for like delegation?
Oh, that's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody wants to hear, right? Everybody like wants to hear the opinion on how to hire. And Gary Vee says hire everybody and then just be quick to fire. Is that kind of your spot? Or are you like more of a let me figure out who's the right person and then I'm going to choose that person?
Okay, so here's how I do it. I basically while I say work on your beliefs and this and that, you also got to be aware of who you are at the core and be very self-aware, because the fact that a lot of people succeed in sales doesn't mean that that's the route you specifically need to have to get success. So
Mhm.
it's not a sport for everybody. Doesn't mean you're bad or not enough. It's just not a sport for everybody. So if it's not a sport for you, and there's a bunch of people that are amazing, like they're just um, they're team workers, and they're very intelligent, and they like to work with computers. Let's say
Mhm.
just those nice people. You probably had them around you. Those people that are like super cute, like the customer loves them. They're just not buying from them. Um, those are the type of people that you would want to improve their life by just having them succeed in another facet and be able to do that, and, and work with you, and also learn with you through that process. So you want to find people that are on the come up, that are hungry, that see an opportunity, that are trustworthy.
Mhm.
So I would say little tests, run little tests just to see if they're trustworthy. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you gotta feel them out for a few weeks, and then start, building them up more and more and more to that place. But I think it's it's hard to find. It's hard to find. You gotta. It's either gonna come from your organization. It's gonna come from people, friends of friends. But look for the personality traits rather than what you want them to do.
Look more for personality traits.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay. Well, we're gonna start closing it out. What can everybody expect from you in the future?
So I'm actually doing a podcast myself. I'm gonna start running that with leaders in the field. So we're gonna be talking about mindset. Gonna be talking about energy. Anybody that wants to connect with me and just get advice, input, ask questions, feel free. My Instagram handle is Mr. Millers. So Millers with a Z at the end. You can follow me on Instagram. It's where I'm most active. And then, we're going to be building big relationships with big roofing companies, alarm companies, and just bringing it all together in the California market. It's going to explode in the next 2-3 years. So I'm very, very excited of what's going to happen next. And that's it. I wish a lot of success and wealth and health for everybody watching this. And I hope it's been helpful and a great time being here.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and close it out. I'll have all of your stuff in the description below, so everybody can check that out. But other than that, peace out.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Let's see here. I got to hit the record. There you go.